Good evening and welcome. You're watching the NewsHour Agenda. I am Padmaja Joshi. It's day 5 of the war between Ukraine and Russia, and the Indian government has mounted a massive rescue operation, coordinating with Indian citizens stuck in Ukraine, liaisoning with governments of countries bordering Ukraine where Indians are being given shelter after crossing over, and finally flying back these children who have over the last 5 days been through hell. Remember, Ukraine has shut its airspace, so there's no way you can fly out Indian citizens from there. For that, flights have been dispatched to Romania, Poland, Hungary. But how do Indians reach these countries to catch those flights? Because Ukraine has also imposed a curfew for the last 3 days, so any kind of movement is impossible. They just can't get to the border. And it's not even here where India's problems end. Repeated complaints are now being made by Indians who've managed to get home that they were harassed at the border by Ukrainian border guards. Horrific videos and testimonies have emerged of how some girls, some students, children, rescued Indians were beaten by the border guard at their posts, kicked, prevented from crossing. Listen to a few of these testimonies, videos that have emerged from the Ukraine-Poland border.
देख यहाँ कैसे मार रहे लड़कियों को। देख यहाँ कैसे मार रहे लड़कियों को।
Now these testimonies, these pictures coming out of the Ukraine border have given ammunition to opposition within our country to claim that India has been caught sleeping, that India has left its citizens to fend for themselves, that the Prime Minister is missing in action, and that even the rescue efforts that we are seeing so far are photo opportunities. But let's examine the facts at hand. Is there a problem? Of course there is a problem. But is India really sitting on its hands? Let's take a look at how various countries have reacted to this conflict and the situation it has created, and what India's response has been. Let's start with China. The Chinese embassy in a statement told its nationals in Ukraine that it is unable to organize any evacuation charter flights. Instead, they said that we have increased helpline numbers because that will help stabilize the mood of Chinese nationals stuck in Ukraine. So what if they're in the middle of shelling? At least their mood will be good. Now let's talk about the United Kingdom. Its embassy has temporarily relocated, and the country has told its citizens, we will not be giving you any increased support. In contrast, remember that Indian embassy has said continuously, we are functioning, we will continue to function. In fact, some of the Indian nationals who turned up at the embassy in Kyiv have also been kept inside now. They are being fed and sheltered there. Take a look at America's response. It said we will not be able to evacuate our citizens. So if you want to leave, maybe consider using private means of transportation. So what really is the purpose of this criticism that we are seeing? Is it criticism for the sake of it? Is it to galvanize the government into action? As a responsible opposition, point out that there are loopholes, there are still problems that exist? Or is it just a case of self-flagellation being our default setting when it comes to any crisis? All right. In fact, we're just getting in breaking news. The Prime Minister's meeting that was held, remember, it is the third one he's held in the last 24 hours, has concluded. And India has decided not only are we going to evacuate 13,500 roughly of our citizens who are still in Ukraine, we will also help citizens of our neighboring countries or those who are weaker in the neighborhood, guided by the one world, one family principle, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. India is now going to offer help to citizens of any of our neighboring countries who also want to be taken out of Ukraine. Let me, in fact, now go across to the guests who are joining us now. Tom Varadkar, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Major General Dhruv Katoch, Director at the India Foundation, Dr. Sumansi Raman, Political Analyst, Kapil Madan, Lawyer and Indian National Congress supporter, Professor Manijit Mandal, Political Analyst and Trinamool Congress supporter. I want to start by first asking you, Dr. Sumansi Raman, it seems a little strange to say the Prime Minister is MIA. I mean, he literally was there holding 3 meetings over the last 24 hours.
Padmaja, I think we should go back into the actual timeline of events. You said, for instance, many other governments did nothing. The US issued its first travel advisory on the 23rd of January, not February. In fact, they went as far as asking their diplomats who wanted to leave the country voluntarily to be allowed to leave. This was on January 23rd, right? Subsequently, many of the other countries also issued travel advisories. Unfortunately, the first of the significant travel advisories from the Indian government came much later. I think it was on the 14th or 15th of February, when hostilities were just about a week or 10 days away. There were multiple warnings that after the Winter Olympic Games concluded, the invasion would begin. In fact, even the timing was being speculated as 4 a.m. on 22nd, 21st, 25th, and so on. So I think that, look, basically one appreciates what the government is doing now.
Okay.
But there are 2 issues. One, perhaps this should have been at least a week ahead.
Okay.
Second, very importantly, even now, this whole argument saying that you're mocking other countries for not moving their citizens across the country and asking them to provide their own transportation and so on. Look, the Indians who are being evacuated right now are predominantly those on the western side of Ukraine, those who are outside the heaviest war zone. Those in Kiev, those in Kharkiv have come out multiple times pleading for assistance. They are not being able to be shifted for obvious reasons. So the Indian students there are facing the same problems that students from other countries are facing. So this is being made out as something really extraordinary.
Okay, so 2 things. First of all, nobody is mocking anyone. One is just making a comparison, saying, while you're absolutely right, you're saying, so just a second, sir. You are saying that the US was prescient and they issued a travel advisory 7 days before India. With
Not
this
7
benefit...
days. January 23rd. January 23rd is not 7 days, Padmaja.
Okay, 2 weeks.
Good 3 weeks. 3
weeks before India. So if they had the benefit of foresight, why didn't they just evacuate all of their citizens? Instead of telling them now, sorry, but you can use your private transport.
You can use your private transport is what applies to every country. No country is able to get their citizens out of the war zone. They are evacuating people who are in Lviv and the western side on the border with Poland, Romania.
Sir,
please, for God's sake, use common sense.
No. So God's sake, everyone is using common sense. There is no need to be patronizing, sir. Just a second. So here's the difference. How do you think Indian students are being transported, say, from Odessa, Kiev, Kharkiv to the western border? How are they going?
I'm sorry, I am not aware that Indian students are being transported from Kharkiv, because the students from Kharkiv are repeatedly making pleas on
You are not aware,
media.
so that's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
Let's ask that
fine. So you
question.
please tell me.
By the way,
Please tell
buses are being chartered and Indian students are being taken to the western border from where they can cross
Kharkiv?
over, and then flights are being arranged for them.
Please tell me how many buses have taken students from Kharkiv?
We will just play out those visuals also of the buses that have been taken and
1,000 kilometers.
All right. Tom Vadakkan, answer this. First of all, if really you are carrying out such massive operations, why do we still see desperate students still stuck and appealing for help? If you are so amazing.
Well, we never claimed we were doing an amazing work. We are working for our countrymen. We are working for our children. And there was no point at which we said, look, we are trying to do this, or there's a photo opportunity. This Dr. Suman, he's asking for clarity on what are the buses. He will even ask for the driver's license. I mean, there is a limit, you know. Humanity is at stake. It is human life. And he wants to go into details. How did they arrive? Is the charter flight being paid by your whichever government you support? Is this all coming free of cost? The government of India has put its neck out, Dr. Suman. He put its neck out.
Sir, can you
Home
please
ministers
answer the
are there,
question?
negotiating, talking, and you have nothing else to do but being critical instead of supporting and coming out with constructive advices. Learn to listen. Learn to listen. Learn to listen first. You should have come out with constructive criticism. On the contrary, you were asking which buses. Were they air conditioned or whatever you want to know?
Not at all.
They were
Not
transported
from
one point to the other, carried by Air India, landed in Delhi, Mumbai. You have no explanation for that. They all came flying from there. Mr. Dr. Suman, you are an inhuman being. I'm charging you that you are criticizing the government for no rhyme or reason. The Prime Minister
from Kharkiv?
there 24
Are you running
7.
buses from Kharkiv?
Mr. Dr. Suman, I don't know who made you a doctor. You're not concerned.
Okay, I think it is also now incumbent on the government to give regular updates and maybe publish a roster on what buses have they sent from where, how many people on that.
At all. I'm asking, are buses being run? That's
Okay,
all
I will now play out for you. I will play out for you reactions of children who have come back home, and they will describe for you how they were transported, sir.
You said that the government was running buses from Kharkiv and Kiev. Please ask Mr. Vadakkan to confirm that instead of abusing me. Abusing me is fine.
Mr. Vadakkan, confirm.
I don't want, nobody is asking for license number or air conditioning. It's ridiculous.
We are doing what we are supposed to do for this country, for our people.
Vadakkan.
And sitting there in air conditioning, you are the category of citizens.
Yeah, you can abuse me, sir. You can abuse me. You can't answer the question.
One who makes speeches and the other on the ground doing work.
Okay. General Dhruv Katoch. General Katoch. Now the other problem is, why did India issue its first advisory on the 14th? Why didn't they see it coming? Look at the others; they could see what's happening.
Padmaja, there are just a few points I'd like to make, then I would like to specifically answer that question because I think it's a very important question. You know, the first thing is the way this operation has been run. I can tell you as a military professional, it is something like the Indian Army running it. It has been run brilliantly, and I compliment all the people involved in running it. The amount of logistic planning which has gone into it is absolutely mind-boggling, from contacting the students to arranging transport, to getting them to the railway station, to the arrangement of the buses, to the diplomatic negotiations to get them across the border, and then the aeroplanes waiting there to get them home. Now, this is one. The second point, you know, we are talking about Kharkiv. I just want to give you a location of Kharkiv. Kharkiv is on the eastern flank, right, bordering Russia, and it is on the north of Luhansk province. That is where the main fighting is taking place. Our students are there. I have seen those students. Some of my colleagues have actually corresponded with them. They are in the bunkers there. They will be moving by train. Now, they couldn't move by train earlier. The train is going to take them to Kyiv, and from Kyiv, they will subsequently be transported by buses. Now, this entire movement, now coming back, Padmaja, to your specific question, what the advisory was issued, and I was on television and at that point of time, and there were students we were interviewing, and the students said, we don't want to leave, what will happen to our studies, right? Now, I don't think that we can expect Prime Minister Modi to go there physically, pick them up, arrest them and bring them back. It is not done. There are individuals, they have got their rights to stay as long as they want. It is not martial law, which other people would like to impose upon the citizens of India. That you can say, why haven't they come on the advisory? I'm afraid we are living in a democracy and the students have the right to stay there. Now, having said that, as the war progressed and when the war actually took place, nobody, including the analysts in the United States, thought that Russia would actually carry out an invasion of this nature. They thought it would stop at Donetsk and Luhansk province. Now, well, it went off. Nobody could read Putin's mind. 90 to 95% of the defense analysts across the world went wrong. So I don't blame the students for opting to stay. The president of Ukraine said there will be no war. Now, who are they going to believe? The Indian observers here, or are they going to believe the president of Ukraine? So the students didn't leave. And now we come to a war-like situation, and getting them out of that war-like situation, I think the planning process has been perfect. India is the only country in the world which has taken this commitment to get our children back. For God's sake, at least now, get together. President Trump has got together with President Biden, but the Indian opposition cannot get together with the government of India. I find this absolutely amazing. And tomorrow, if we have to go to war, as a soldier, I can tell you, if my opposition is not with me, then what are you there for?
Dr. Raman.
I think it is a shame the way it is going on. Please don't do these things. I have to get a bottle on this. Please don't do these things. You are letting down your country. You are letting down your people, and you are letting down your families. You are letting down every single child who is stuck there in Ukraine.
And sir, there are ministers being sent there. I heard somebody remark on TV today saying, oh, look, this is the perfect photo op for a UP election that you sent your UP MP, General VK Singh, to get back students. I mean, really?
Padmaja, can I reply to this gentleman?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a general officer of the Indian Army. Sir.
First of all, sir, you can be, sir, you can be.
Yes, okay, and so can you.
Yeah, one second.
Yeah.
The point is very simple. Whatever I said are facts. Thank you to the gentleman for saying that the students have not been given buses from Kharkiv, which Padmaja, you made a claim saying that buses were being moved from Kharkiv.
Kharkiv was never been the point.
So, one second,
just a minute,
please.
The only person who spoke of Kharkiv was you. It was not the anchor, and it was not Mr. Tom Vadakan. Only you spoke of it. You say that there are no buses.
Very clearly said that she wanted to play
out
the
respond now, please respond. You have got a military-grade rescue operation going on. What is your problem now? Earlier you said, well, we have this advisory, it was given too late. When did the first Indian charter come back from Ukraine? First Indian charter.
When did the first Indian charter come back? It came back with, if I remember right, 219 members on board, and I think it was about 3 days ago. 3 days ago.
No,
that was
sir.
When the first.
As a matter of fact, on the 23rd of February, an Air India special flight with 242 passengers was already back in India.
Yes.
At the end of February, special flights were being flown back.
One second. The February 23rd is a good 1 month after the Americans actually told their people, please start leaving the place. Okay, so let's not get into the issue. One appreciates the government.
Sir, you know, I have to say the amount of importance you are attaching to this advisory is like I go to somebody and say I have cancer, and they say here is a get well soon card. I will not operate you, but get well soon. This is a lovely, beautiful card. You look at it.
You've been told that there is a possibility of a dreaded disease being there in you.
But Americans basically in January said, this is your get well soon card. Enjoy.
If you're going to say, I'm going to ignore it, that's your call. Look.
Yes, the Chinese have put out a statement saying, we will give you more helpline numbers where you can talk to us and lighten your mood.
Look,
I am being shelled. I don't want a light mood.
1990, the government evacuated 170,000 Indians. It was one of the largest evacuation of Indians before the Gulf War. And you know how long it took? It was done in just a period of 2 months. So far, in a week's time, we've had 1,346 odd students being evacuated. And it looks like, all stops have been pulled and so on, which I honestly cannot understand in terms of the scale of the operation. One appreciates the government. There is no doubt about it.
Well, thank you for that. Let me also go across to Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwala, who has just remarked, you're saying that the Prime Minister was on the phone line yesterday with you talking about the rescue efforts. What was that about, sir?
Yeah, that's correct. So he was trying to tell me, while our embassies, neighboring countries like Romania, Hungary and Poland, they are doing their best. It is important that the local diaspora get activated and small communities, Gurudwara, spiritual art of living, the community organizations should together support to the students who would cross border from Ukraine. They will require some transit stay in these countries before they...
Okay, sir, I'm afraid we've got a very bad line with you. We'll just try and fix that. And come back to you. Kapil Madan. I found the words MIA very interesting. Because today the Prime Minister has come and said, we will rescue our own people and we will rescue our neighbors who need help.
So, Padmajaji, look at the situation. I think one of the learned panelists has made a remark that on 14th of February, the government announced its first advisory. I was looking at the Twitter handle of the Indian embassy in the Ukraine. On 15th of February, they've announced only 3 flights. And the first flight was to operate on 22nd of February. The second one was on 24th of February. And the third one was on 26th of February. Now, when you know that you have 20,000 citizens there, and in fact, the US government has issued an advisory in January. So from 15, when the airspace was not closed, at that point in time, you need to have a plan. I mean, you can't bring back 20,000 people with 3 flights. That's the point the learned panelist was trying to make, that it is now too late and too little. And to all the cheerleaders of the BJP here, let me tell one more thing here. Why is the issue of photo ops is being raised here? Now, you have got about 1,396 citizens back here, and you are patting your own back. Now, you don't know that around 18,000 students are still there. Now, okay, you want to pat your back, you please do that. But please have a robust mechanism, have a robust plan in place so that you evacuate those individuals as soon as possible. Sir, and then if you want to do a photo op, you do that. Sir, the same thing happened with COVID. In fact, the COVID was still there and they declared victory over COVID, and we all knew what happened thereafter.
Okay, too few flights, Tom Madakkan.
Well, this is all very strange. Here's a government proactively doing whatever is possible in a war zone. They want a plan in action.
3 flights.
This is work in progress. You have the students are moving from one center to the other. There is panic all around. We are not here in counseling methodology like the Chinese. We have to talk to all of them. We are a democratic country. There are people who want to stay there too. So we are doing whatever is possible and more. And to find this hair-splitting arguments don't fit into the system.
Okay, Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwala is back with us on the phone line. You spoke of how the Prime Minister asked you to coordinate through the expat community, sir. What is that about?
Yeah, so Prime Minister during the phone call was insisting that while Indian embassy is trying its best to give the transit accommodation and all necessary arrangement to the students who are crossing the boundaries from Ukraine to Poland, Hungary and Romania, there is a need to mobilize the diaspora, community organizations temples, gurudwaras, spiritual organizations like Art of Living, ISKCON, etc., so that in the transit, these students are well taken care of before they take flights back to India.
Thank you very much, sir, for just setting that record straight. By the way, since you spoke, thank you very much, Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwala. Let me just set one fact straight. Since the time advisories have been issued, 8,000 Indians have left Ukraine. And this was said on record today by Arindam Bagchi, who's the spokesperson of the External Affairs Ministry. Monojit Mandal, Professor Monojit Mandal.
No, let's face it, the government was certainly caught napping. I mean, what the government has been doing since 23rd, it should have been done at least 13 days or 10 days back. You know, you have not even evacuated 10% of the stranded students from that particular country. And now when one particular aircraft landed, the minister gets into it and, you know, makes elaborate speech that will evacuate every single Indian from Ukraine. Why are you going to do that? If you think about the average, 23rd and now 28, only 1,300, 10%, how long will it take to evacuate all the students? Our simple demand is every single Indian from Ukraine must be given safe passage.
But who's saying that every single Indian will not be given safe passage?
I mean, it's a deplorable state of average. You began on 23rd, it's 28 today. You have evacuated not even 10% of the Indians. That's
how many people have other countries evacuated? Given the situation, given the uncertainty, given the closure of airspace and given the curfew.
You want to emulate China?
Actually, even the US and UK haven't evacuated anyone.
Doesn't matter. We Indians are always connected with our, what you call, nationalism, right?
Right.
That's what the Prime Minister talks about.
Which is why 1,400 Indians are back.
Being evacuated by their government. If the Chinese are only, you know, giving phone lines.
No one cares for Chinese.
We need to follow
even
that
the United States has said we can't give you anything. Use private buses.
Then the minister should not make this kind of elaborate speeches on the aircraft. Saying that we will evacuate every single Indian, right? The minister in charge got into that.
What is he supposed to say? We will evacuate 20% of Indians.
You need to act first. You needed to act first.
Okay.
It should have been done at least since the 14th of
Katoch.
February itself.
Yeah.
Right? And now you are making political speeches on the aircraft.
Right. May I ask you one question, sir, to all the three people who are saying we have done a terrible job. When the Americans gave their advisory, what advice did any of you give to the government of India or your leaders? Till 23rd of February, was any advice given by any of your leaders?
Matter? The government.
No, that's all right. That's all right. I know it doesn't matter, but let's set the record straight. That means the opposition was sleeping.
I got to hear from
that
your
means the opposition
media,
was sleeping.
Other media, that war was imminent on 15th of February itself.
Right. So that means there are 2 points. There are 2 points which I want to make here. One, just a minute.
Just a second. By the way, since you're a supporter of the Trinamool Congress, West Bengal government gave a list of 199 people who are in Ukraine to the Indian government and requested evacuation, you know when? Yesterday, on the 27th of February. So maybe you could have given that list sooner. Quickly, General Katoch.
No, you see, there are 2 points I wish to make. One, I think what you people are really looking for is you are looking for martial law to be imposed in India so that we can come and physically pick those children up 1 month ago or 2 months ago and bring them back to India. One, you know, this is absurd. You are taking away the democratic right of those people to stay there, right? Because they were quite certain that there will not be a war. And number two, none of you in the opposition dared to open your mouth before the actual problem arose. That means each one of you was sleeping. If I accept the fact that the government was sleeping, okay, but each one of you was sleeping also. And I think that speaks very poorly of the opposition.
Well, the bottom line is that government has made it clear we are going to get back each and every Indian. The situation is extremely dire. Circumstances are very, very difficult. But the best should be done and is being done. This is not to glorify anyone. Yes, the government owes it to its citizens. But to say that you are sleeping and this whole country is useless is to do a great disservice to our own country. That's the limited point. Thanks very much, all gentlemen. Appreciate